consideration of this petition. So, you know, it's hard for us to kind of set that difference, but, you know, the petitioner's talking about buildable space and having room for a landing and for stairs. That's not part of our calculus. That has to be done by the building department through our building division.
Do we know, or do you know off the top of your head what the width requirement is for a stairway like that?
No, you don't. I know you need I think you need a 36-foot landing at the bottom of a stairway.
Okay.
This sounds like only one rise. So then it may not even be a stair. But again, this is all conjecture. I'm not the subject matter expert on that. So I think we have some building considerations which are separate from this decision today.
So if we approve, it could still be discussed at the building requirements.
Yep, it would still have
So
to be
he'd
built, it would
still
still
have
have to be
to
built
meet.
within code. And if it can't be built within code, there's another process to appeal that. That is not this board, that is the
Got it.
But if
Building
we
Board of
approve
Appeals.
as amended, it won't allow the stairs as he's got it envisioned.
That's the petitioner's position, yes. I have not done the analysis on that.
And I did not analyze putting analysis into the accessing. I assumed that the deck would be expanded on the current deck, so kind of a larger, but
Is that true? The deck would be at the same level, the new deck?
It would be a little bit lower, and there would be a set of stairs coming from the old deck to the new deck, but they would be up against the house.
Okay.
And then there would be a separate entrance onto the new deck, which would just be that one rise, one stair.
And how many risers are we talking about from the deck to the ground?
I'm thinking it'll probably be five-ish, maybe
Okay.
5 or 6.
So half a floor?
and I will note the topography. I think
Yeah.
you can see it. It's flat for most of the part, but once it starts going to the east, so over here, it really goes
Right.
down.
Okay, any further questions? Any other input from anybody? I don't see anybody here, so I assume there's nobody here talking against the petitioner. So what's the pleasure of the board? Somebody-
If it couldn't be built, let me ask one more question.
Yep.
Without that extra 2 feet, if the building department can't come up with something that works, does it get kicked back to us, or what would happen to this?
Yep, great question. That would be the Building Board of Appeal, so because they'd be
Okay.
appealing building code. And
Right.
we have a process for that, and it's
Okay.
very similar to this, but a different board, so
Okay,
something we could address if need be.
so we aren't the final say here today
You're the
necessarily.
final say on the zoning
On the
consideration.
zoning.
Yep.
Mhm,
so the
but not
setback
on whether it
consideration, right.
actually could exist.
Yeah, how it's actually built within that zoning allowable areas is the Building Board of Appeal.
But if those extra 2 feet are required by building code to allow for the stairwell, and we don't approve them, then that's off the table. He can't come back here for another one for another year, right?
That would be correct. He couldn't come back here. He could appeal to the Building Board of Appeals, you know, a narrower stairwell than is allowed. And again, I'm not sure that that's even necessary. That analysis hasn't been done.
Right, but 2 feet clearly wouldn't be enough for a stairwell.
I don't believe it would be,
No.
yeah.
Hmm.
I will note also that this is A2. There's no plans for rezoning this to R1. I think we do look at sewer connections, of course, and water service, but we also take into consideration the road. And Elk Drive, I do not believe would conform to our normal R1 districts right now, and I don't know of any plans for it to be improved, so that's just it was one consideration, looking probably a little bit longer term than we're talking more than a decade, I'm guessing, so just wanted to make that note.
I think
But that was the
I think
basis of
in-
your recommendation, Taylor, was that it could be at some point upzoned to an R1, and that would be the setback at an R1.
Correct, yeah.
So we try to set ourselves up for conforming uses.
Right.
Instead of creating non-conforming uses, which is a pretty good policy, I would say. And so when Taylor and I kind of worked on this case, that was our consideration in the time we came to the number, or the number he came up with being a little bit less than what the petitioner's requesting.
And I do not believe it would be rezoned to an R2, which is also a single-family district with 25 feet of setback, which thus this variance would be in conformance with that. So, it's more.
Interesting.
Yep.
I'll add one more point. I did drive to the southeast along Pleasant Ridge Court, and it's pretty hard to see that backyard. It's very concealed, especially this time of year.
Yeah, I was there today.
So,
and
yeah.
I guess thinking at the dais a little bit here, is there consideration that that slope is also a, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is that slope also a hardship?
Would think so.
Probably.
Arguably could be a hardship, yeah. And if that were the case, I suppose you could agree to a different number for the size of the deck and the setback.
Taylor, did you consider that hardship in your case when you?
I
made-
did. I noted the hardships for the first variance, the initial variance in 2015, and then also so multiple hardships. The floodplain caused the house to be sited toward the north, which eliminated pretty much any expansion into the rear yard setback for principal structures, which a deck would be an extension of the principal structure. There is topography. Now, I didn't go to quite the analysis of how the stairs would go,
Right.
without going on the property. And then noting that this really does meet all but the road standards for an R1 zoning district. So there's multiple different ways to.
Probably
there's
at least
multiple ways to
three
look at that.
hardships, double frontage, floodplain requiring a certain location of the buildable area, and then a steep slope. That mix of hardships is probably pretty rare, without doing some survey, but I've been to enough of these, and so have you, that you have three hardships. If the board's pleasure were something more close to the 28, I think you have enough hardships to defend that, and then also say no if you need to say no for others that would
Exactly.
say they want the same treatment.
And I'm assuming because of the slope issues that if the stairs were on the other side, there would be significantly more stairs, excuse me.
Yeah, it would be like a full set of stairs, yeah.
Certainly because of the slope of the land, the chances of anybody being building in that area, at least from what I saw today, are nil or slim anyway. So one of the reasons for these setbacks, obviously, is to protect neighbors so that you don't have decks on top of decks.
Right.
And maybe that's because of the topography, that is a reason to consider a larger variance that could be defended in other situations where you might have a house, or there's a probability of a house, or there's probability of something being built there. I think the probability of anything being built directly behind this house is mighty slim.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Please do.
I would like to move on case 22024 to approve the variance to reduce the required rear yard setback from 48 feet to 28 feet, as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, I tried to turn it off. Any discussions? If not, how about a roll call vote?
Gallagher?
Yes,
Tansey?
Yes.
Tom Burks?
Yes.
Vermillion?
Yes.
okay. Thank you for coming down.
Hey, I'd like to thank the board and Taylor. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay. So with that, that's all the business we have for today.
Sure, folks.
Then we stand adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.